Thursday, July 18th on ABC.
And stream on Hulu. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Troy right now. Ohio State Highway Patrol telling us one person is hurt after a chase led to a crash. Now, it happened on I-75 South at State Route 41 just after 9 o'clock tonight. OSHP's Dayton Post telling us one person was taken to the hospital. Right now, we're working to learn their condition and also what led up to the chase. We'll keep you on air or updated on air and online at Dayton247now.com. And we also now know that Ohio Task Force 1 will not be heading down to Texas in response to Beryl, but remains on standby in case their services are needed to help those affected by the devastating storm. Since we know Beryl's impacts are expected to move through our area, AES Ohio tells us the key to staying safe is making sure you're prepared. Kasha Hancock joining us now live in studio. So Kasha, I know you spoke to AES Ohio. How can people prepare for this?
Elise, I spoke to Mary Ann Cable of AES Ohio, who says to make sure you have an emergency kit packed with items like batteries, portable chargers, and phones with AES's information in case you need to report power outages. AES Ohio says they've already begun organizing crews and getting the proper materials together for when Ohio begins to experience storm impacts. Since Tropical Storm Beryl has left more than 2 million people in Texas without power, Cable tells me it's important that they stay on top of trying to serve their customers as efficiently as possible.
For us, we had experienced an outage of, large proportions in relationship to our service territory when we had the Memorial Day tornadoes. And with these events that have strong winds, there's a high potential for possibly down power lines due to tree branches and so on. Consider all lines energized, meaning that they're live. So stay away, call us immediately.
She also says to create a family safety plan to be ready for other potential storms all year long.
It's really, really important to know where your family members and other people in your house are so they can be safe in the event of any type of weather.
If you do lose power and consider using a generator or candles until power is restored, there are important things to remember.
When it comes down to a generator, it's really, really important to follow the directions from the manufacturer and be wise about where it's placed. You don't want added problems in terms of the dangers that a generator could cause if not used properly. Candles, on the other hand, flashlights are a much better option and a safer option. You want to be very wary of things that can start another incident, such as a fire.
To report any power outages, just go to aes-ohio.com/outages or call 8774-OUTAGE. Back to you.
Kasha, thank you. Tropical depression Beryl causing mass flooding and destruction in the south. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, how much damage Beryl has already caused and the response from Texas. And Natalie, I know you have been watching Beryl very closely.
Yeah, because impacts will be seen right here in the Miami Valley. So taking a look at Beryl right now, latest update pretty much right along the corners of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. We have it with max sustained winds, 35 miles per hour, moving to the north-northeast at 17 miles per hour. So it's continuing to weaken, but as it continues to make its way off to the northeast, it will still bring some impacts even for us here in the Miami Valley, including the risk for some severe storms. We have a level 1 threat for severe storms for our area, and the primary concern is going to be a low-end risk for a brief spin-up tornado. That will be late tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, and then there is the risk for damaging wind gusts. So we're going to be monitoring that closely. Until then, it's very warm, 80 in Dayton, 77 in Troy, and it's going to be a warm, muggy night, lows in the lower 70s. I'll talk about the rest of the week coming up here in just a bit.
New information tonight after police say a man was shot in Springboro while attempting to stop a car break-in. Lydia Bice spoke to the Springboro community about this scary and even rare situation.
Neighbors in the Crockett Drive neighborhood told me today they knew the city of Springboro had seen an uptick in car break-ins, but they never expected anything this violent. Around 12:55 this morning, police arrived on scene and found a victim with a gunshot wound who had attempted to stop that car break-in from happening. Tom Harrison, a Springboro business owner, says he's had 2 car break-ins in his business parking lot over the years, and he stresses the importance of keeping your valuables out of sight.
The cars were locked, but they broke the windows out, and they only targeted cars where something was visible. So the cars where there was nothing visible were left alone. It's just a shame. I think people need to be aware of it and take care of their possessions and lock their cars.
We still don't know much about the suspect at this time, besides the fact that they're still on the loose. The victim was taken to a local hospital, but their condition is unknown at this time. As soon as we hear more from the Springboro Police Department, we'll be sure to update you here on air and online at Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
An investigation underway tonight after a shooting left a man dead in front of a local elementary school. 33-year-old Britton Harrison was found dead yesterday outside of Residence Park Elementary on Oak Ridge Drive. Now, what led to his death is unknown at the time. As soon as we learn more, of course, we'll update you on air and online. We do also know tonight a man is dead after a stabbing in Dayton. Coroners identified him as 43-year-old Randall Middleton. He died at Miami Valley Hospital. Now we're working to find out what led to the stabbing. As soon as we do, of course, we'll update you on air and online at Dayton247now.com. A Florence neighborhood is still reeling from this weekend's shooting that left 4 innocent people dead and 3 others hurt. It happened Saturday at a 21st birthday party. A mother was among those killed after reportedly trying to protect her daughter. Now, family and friends of the victims are speaking out tonight about the tragedy.
And I heard people running around screaming and yelling, no, no, no. And then the street was lined with police cars. They're so young. They're so young. Even Missy. 44 is not old, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Investigators say the victims knew the shooter. However, he was not invited to the party. And a heads up, if you're heading out to the Montgomery County Fair tomorrow, as Natalie said, it's going to be a little toasty with a chance of rain. Jenna Lee Bork live now from the fairgrounds. So Jenna Lee, what was today like?
Well, at least people definitely showed up, even though the humidity made it feel very hot. But I did notice there were less people than you might expect on the rides. Instead, more people were staying in those shaded areas. I spoke to one man who's come to the fair his whole life, and he had some simple advice for how to avoid the worst of the heat.
When you're my age, you don't come out in the daytime. You wait till it cools down a little bit.
Excessive heat and a chance of rain tomorrow, putting a slight damper on the Montgomery County Fair that's going on all week. The executive director, Lori Page, saying the weather can impact attendance, but she says precautions are being taken. Jefferson Township EMS are there to assist anyone, and there are ways to get a break from the heat as well.
We do have some shade on the grounds under the entertainment tent, and as you're shopping, there's several tents that you can actually stop by. There are several different areas where you can get water, and we do have water fountains in both of our buildings.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts booth in Building 1 is one of the places you can get free bottled water. Page saying there are ways people can prepare before they head to the fairgrounds, like checking the weather ahead of time.
If there's going to be anticipated rain, bring your weather gear. If it's going to be anticipated heat and humidity, make sure you have your sunscreen, stay hydrated. And then if you're starting to feel a little bit, okay, it's just a little bit too overwhelming, make sure you get into Building 1 where the air conditioning is at.
Jack Warner, who's gone to the fair his whole life, says the heat is hard on everyone.
It's hard on the animals as well, but there's a lot of shade. The barns are staying pretty cool, not too bad, so it's bearable.
Warner says if you can battle the heat, it's worth it.
Come out. You got to come out and see it. If you come out once, you'll probably want to come a second time. There's enough to see. You can spend 2 days here and not see anything twice.
Jefferson Township's fire chief tells me they've treated 7 people in the past 2 days, most of them passing out for the heat. So he says, stay hydrated and come prepared. The last day of the fair is Saturday. Back to you in studio.
A new fire station now open in Springfield. Clark State Community College and the city of Springfield first broke ground on the new facility back in 2022. It'll house new gear and equipment to improve safety and efficiency during fire emergencies. The new station includes a diverse workforce such as private spaces for sleeping and showering, as well as labs and classrooms for Clark State's Fire Academy students.
It's a great opportunity for our students to have real-world experience, to learn from other firefighters, be mentored by the leaders here at the fire station. It's an opportunity that really adds a lot of value to an already great program.
Now, Clark State will be the only community college in the nation to house student labs in a working fire station. Learning new trade skills, all thanks to a special program. Dayton Building Trades is holding a construction camp for middle school students this summer. Organized by the office of U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, now the camp will give students a chance to explore careers, participate in team building exercises, even work on a project specific to our community.
We try to make it as hands-on as you possibly can. I mean, you know, you can learn in the classroom, sitting there, you're watching videos, you're listening to lectures, you're doing exercises, but the trades in and of themselves are a hands-on experience, and our apprentices tend to learn kinetically, and so this is the experience we want to present them with.
The training is offered tuition-free, and students receive college credits when they complete the program. President Biden is standing his ground about running against former President Donald Trump. What Biden had to say to Democrats who still question his campaign run. Up next.
Plus, I'm tracking the remnants of Beryl making their way into the Miami Valley tomorrow. What we're expecting, that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
hash browns. Get any two for $3.
Tropical depression Beryl made landfall in East Texas early this morning as a Category 1 hurricane with winds topping 94 miles per hour, killing at least 4 people in the Houston area alone. Take a look here. You can see the severe flooding all over the state. Those waters drowning roadways, homes, and vehicles. Now the stop sign you see there holding up in the middle of what looks like an ocean. And take a look. You can't even see the roadways. Also taking a live look now at the poweroutage.us website, where Beryl has now knocked out power to more than 2.5 million homes and businesses in Texas. Now officials, though, are still urging people to shelter in place and stay off the roads tonight. Crews are working hard to restore the power.
There will be boots on the ground. These 7,000 crews will be here in the region working on our lines, working on our poles, and working to do as much as possible to address the power issue.
Officials recommend people set up in group chats with the neighbors and family to check in overnight.
And we'll feel some of the impacts here in the Miami Valley starting tomorrow, with some showers, some storms making their way in, mainly late into the day, and continuing into our Wednesday. We'll have some of those gusty winds. So this is what we're tracking: rain, some gusty winds, and then we also have the potential for a brief spin-up tornado. With any tropical system, especially as it makes its way northeastward, we do see that low-end tornado risk. So that's what we're tracking with our level 1 threat for severe storms for the majority of our area. And again, low-end tornado risk, damaging wind gusts, especially late tomorrow afternoon, evening into the overnight hours, and then also some localized flooding. We got a lot of tropical moisture with this, so downpours are definitely going to be with us, especially by tomorrow night. So here's a look at what we're tracking. Overnight, we'll drop into the 70s, some showers developing as we head into the afternoon hours. But it looks like by tomorrow night, likely after sunset, we'll see our best chance for some of that heavier rain, our low and severe risk. So have a way to get those weather alerts overnight. And then by our day on Wednesday, we're just tracking scattered showers, cloudier conditions, breezy conditions as well, with some gusts up to 30 to 35 miles per hour during the day on Wednesday, finally clearing out by our Thursday before we have some nicer weather that will make its way in.
A local lawmaker behind the effort to change how the state counts election votes, clearing the air tonight about his security proposal. State Representative Bernard Willis of Springfield says the election security bill is about protecting critical infrastructure, not about making short-term changes in time for the upcoming election. Willis wants to raise accuracy standards of voting machines well above current levels, but says he's not rushing counties to make it happen by this November.
With an election coming in November, right, we know that their workload is going to go through the roof very soon, and that is not something that we want to impact at this point. Ohio happens to be on the front edge of what I believe is going to be a change nationally to the way those systems are not only built, but the way that they are monitored.
Republican Majority Whip Teresa Gavarone says these upgrades are needed to secure elections for the future. Now, the bill is still in committee up in Columbus, and a vote has yet to be scheduled. Well, 3 names have now been dominating talks about for the former president's possible VP: Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Now, senior Trump advisor Jason Miller says there's even more candidates on his list, and it's anybody's guess who'll be picked. Miller did say we will know his pick by next Monday.
And what President Trump has said is that whoever he does pick needs to be able to step in and do the job on day one. Each of the different prospects has their own strengths, and I think really can help chart the nation forward.
Now, Trump could wait to unveil his pick at the Republican National Convention, which kicks off next week, but he also has 2 rallies between now and then. President Biden now doubling down tonight on his candidacy run, telling Capitol Hill Democrats he declines to drop his campaign and it's time for the party drama to end. The president sent a letter to Democrats in Congress before phoning in for an interview with MSNBC this morning, saying he doesn't care what party elites want, and even chirping back at some Democrats, saying, quote, "Challenge me at the convention."
All the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee. The bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024.
Some Democratic lawmakers are joining for Biden to step aside since his debate performance earlier this month, although some of Biden's strongest supporters reaffirming their beliefs, saying he's the only one who can beat Trump. A live look now from our Eco Plumber Skycam over the Beaver Creek area. Let's send it out to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
Well, we do have a muggy one out here right now, all ahead of Tropical Depression Beryl, which made landfall as a hurricane. We are expecting to see impacts across the Miami Valley, including some heavy rain. Now, I will say it's hard to pinpoint where we're going to see some of that heavier rain really set up, although it does look like some of the very high totals will be well off west and into Indiana. That being said, about a ½ inch of rainfall, maybe up to an inch or so of rainfall, certainly possible, if not some locally higher totals once we get some of those heavier showers, thunderstorms making their way through, which will be great news for us because we could definitely use the rain. That being said, rest of this evening looking nice and warm with temperatures in the lower 70s as you wake up tomorrow morning.
We'll be right back. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Take Dayton.
And lawyers at Elk & Elk. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO.
Tonight, Boeing accepted a plea deal from the DOJ, avoiding a criminal trial for 2 deadly crashes of its 737 MAX jets. The airline manufacturer pled guilty to 1 felony charge of conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government. Now, as part of the plea deal, Boeing will face nearly $250 million in fines, and they also will have to invest at least another $455 million into compliance and safety programs.
If Boeing really changed, things would have been different after the two-place crash.
The plea deal between Boeing and the DOJ requires approval by a federal judge before taking effect. Several medical students at Johns Hopkins University will no longer have to pay tuition starting next semester, and it's all thanks to a $1 billion donation to the university from billionaire Mark Bloomberg's charity organization. This donation will cover full tuition for students whose families earn less than $300,000. The organization also says it'll cover the living expenses of students whose families earn up to $175,000. Contraband medication shipments entering the U.S. at an alarming rate. How Border Protection agencies are making sure these products don't end up in your hands. But first, a look at your Monday misses.